I am not an expert on grief because there aren't any experts. Grief is as unique as a fingerprint, so there cannot be any experts. What I am is a person who's traveled around the country and listened to an awful lot of stories, and I collect stories, and I'm just kind of here to report to you the stories that I've heard. I often say that most of the things I know about grief I know because somebody told me their story. I heard a great one in New York recently. A lady came up to me and told me that her daughter had passed away about 4 years ago. And she said, "My daughter lives on my shoulder, and I feel her presence there, and it's wonderful having her there." And I talk to her, and people think I'm kind of crazy when I do that, but I tell them that I talk to her. And I think she's very comfortable being there, and I'm very comfortable with her constant presence there. And I, of course, would give anything if she was here in person, but since she isn't, it's wonderful having her on my shoulder. She said she used to be right here, in front of my face, and every thought I had was about her, 24 hours a day, every day. She defined who I was. I stopped being a person and started being a bereaved parent. I constantly thought of her and constantly tried to remember every detail about her. And I spent my life telling her story. And I noticed every time somebody didn't notice her or didn't say something about her, it hurt my feelings. And I really wanted to get angry, though I wouldn't dare. And I did get angry if someone asked how I was. You know, I wanted to say, "Well, can't you see? How do you think I was?" And I just spent my life with her right there. And she said every once in a while I'd feel her slip a little bit, and I'd pull her back because I really thought I had to keep her there in order to honor her the way I wanted to honor her. That if I didn't think of her 24 hours a day, I was somehow or other not loving her the way I should have loved her. And so I fought the move, and I would pull her back, because I was fearful that we were forgetting, and I was guilty. And I got very angry when the rest of the family seemed to move on. And I kept saying, how dare you? And when the holidays came and everybody wanted everything back to normal, and I was sitting there saying, no, things can't be back to normal. We have to be sure that we are remembering her all the time. And she said, finally, it became all right for her to move. She said, I don't know how I got to that place, and it took a long time, and I fought it, but the day came when it was okay for her to move. I have a friend named Paula Loring who lives in San Antonio. Paula's wonderful in grief groups, and she has a lineup for grief that I love. She says grief is when the heart breaks, and then when the heart bleeds, and then when the heart surrenders, and then when the heart heals. And perhaps what the lady was saying was that she got to the point in her grief of surrender, making the transition. And when that time comes, it feels like we're forgetting. And a lot of times the only time we feel real close to our loved one is when we're hurting the most. I have a lady that I've been walking with, and if she comes in to see me one week and she's feeling good, I almost panic because I know by next week she will have either dug up her daughter's diaries, which are certainly not pleasant to see, or would have in some way stirred it all back up, because she really feels closest to her daughter when she's in pain. And she's afraid to let the pain go because she's afraid she'll be losing her, and she'll be afraid that somehow or other she would not be honoring her, or that she didn't love enough. And I think we get up to the point of that transition many times before we really let it go, and we fight it back. And a lot of times we don't even want to get better because we want to keep her there and never let her move. The lady said, you know, the time came when I could say to her, it's okay to move. It's like a lady said to me, she said, I got up one day and said to my husband who had died, John, I'm tired of you being dead. And what she was saying, it's time for that transition. The lady said, grief is a journey. It's a journey from face to face to heart. It's a journey from remembering them by sight to remembering them inside of ourselves. And she said the journey is very long and it's very hard, but the end result is a new closeness, which I hope we can discover together.